What's up, everybody? Blake the Scholar of Magic, and today it's all about vehicles. And I'm going to be demonstrating all the vehicles that we have on Arena in general, and also going over like kind of the spirit animal of like what vehicles are, and kind of give you like an idea of what it means for a vehicle enjoyer like myself. Where did this come from? Where did the love for vehicles come from? Where did the origination of it really kind of develop in me? And I would have to say it probably originates kind of like near the Dominaria days when Maria came out. I was really into like tapping artifacts for mana, and my main like fun thing to do in Standard was to create the Mech Titan. That was like my number one, was like, let's summon up the Mech Titan and just meme on people like completely, like the full meme, right? And this was my kind of the origination. It might have been like your start. You might have been into the Mech Titan core like myself, or at least were Mech Titan on at one time or not. But yeah, we can see this card is from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. And this 2-costed artifact vehicle is very vanilla on face value in its function. In most cases, it's just a crew 2/2/4, which is, it's a good defender. At the very worst, it's like a pretty solid defender, we'd say, for that mana value. But it's really that payoff that it was pretty decent at the time, was basically paying 5 and fusing this with 4 other artifact creatures or vehicles we control to create a 10/10 flying, vigilant, trample, lifelink, and haste that's all colors, the Mech Titan you see to the right of it. And when it died, even if it was removed, all those things that it like had, if they were permanents, would turn back onto the battlefield. So it was like a really cool, like very hard to deal with if you could like pull it off. If you can like create the Mech Titan, it was swinging in the air, it was gaining you a lot of life. And even if it was removed, like those things were returned. So like your Surge Hacker Mechs were really good because they would simply come back with all your vehicles and take something out at that time, or any of your other like enter the battlefield payoffs for artifacts creatures would also be very good at that time. So really solid way to go about like a standard gameplay. Now the thing about the Mech Titan core is like kind of playing it through Brawl and kind of playing it with Maria. It didn't really work out. I could summon it very easily. It wasn't too hard to create, but it simply wasn't good enough just to create a 10/10, to be honest, and kind of swing in. There are some new kind of commanders though that kind of bring us back to the Mech Titan core, and it has to be Balthier and Fran. This is like a very sweet commander from Final Fantasy. It got me kind of like, I was watching one of my videos today and I was like really kind of getting juiced up, like thinking of like, well, that was really fun. Like visiting that commander was really nice, and it actually would probably be very good for Mech Titan core. It'd actually be a good look for Mech Titan core to be able to have like an additional combat phase. That would make this 10/10 much more appetizing. To get in there like an additional time, that sounds very, very nice, right? So I thought that would be very cool to kind of feature like in a future video, is coming back to Balthier and Fran and really being all about the Mech Titan core. I think we kind of have all the tools that we need. We even have like more Gruul tools. Like it's a Gruul wet dream right now with a Badger Mole Cub. Like all the mana dorks that were already good are like even better. So like your acceleration is so much better, and like you're not feeling bad at all about playing the mana dorks at all. Like they're just so good. So Balthier and Fran is poised, I think, pretty well for this meta, like any meta in general, especially in eternal formats. It makes these cards look so much better and appetizing, as you would say. So that's definitely an avenue you can take with vehicles. Probably the number one, it's kind of been like the number one for a while, is the Greasefang decks. So Greasefang is definitely all about the vehicles as well. It's about bringing out vehicles from your graveyard, right? And there's really little to no restrictions on it. You just simply have to get like a Stitcher Supplier, a Ripples of Death, or even like a card that just selectively discards into your graveyard, like on curve with Greasefang. Like just simply get a vehicle into your graveyard as Greasefang comes into play, move to combat, and that vehicle simply is resurrected onto the battlefield for the turn, right? And then it will pop back to your hand if you don't have like a way to sacrifice it. So you can kind of loop into that over and over again. It's really not too much of a problem. And I've seen in Pioneer that they don't really even care about like the Parhelion like returning, because they basically have so many ways to basically put cards into the grave that it's really not very difficult for them to just get into multiple Parhelions just simply by filling the graveyard up. So it's that kind of looping is not really that big of a deal, you know, where you have to figure out a way to put it back in your graveyard. You know, you have like 4 copies of Parhelion, you're just dumping cards in your graveyard and you're simply getting to like a Parhelion or your Oculus, right? So Esper Greasefang is pretty big. You can see Doomwake play those kind of decks. Those are pretty solid. So yeah, that's probably a way of going about Greasefang in like maybe a more competitive meta. But Greasefang is just always very good. You can see simply resurrecting a card such as the Parhelion is going to be very juicy, right? It has a low crew cost. Greasefang itself would meet that requisite for 4 power. Parhelion slaps on the battlefield. You basically, to crew, you just have to have the power requisite. So if the crew is 4, Greasefang would meet that perfectly. It would match. And then you would tap Greasefang down. It would not be able to attack for that turn. You would simply tap it to meet that crew. The vehicle would no longer be considered an artifact. It'd be considered an artifact creature. It'd come into the board state where the creatures reside. It'd no longer be like just considered an artifact. It'd also be considered a creature. And then you could swing in with haste, right? Because that Greasefang brings out those vehicles with haste. And then all of a sudden you have this 5/5 swinging that's going to also create 2/4 Vigilant Flying Angels that are also swinging. So really devastating. A turn 3 Parhelion is just really hard to deal with. Very, very menacing, as you would say. So there's Colorless, the Triumph Caster. This is also like a, excuse me, very interesting vehicle commander too. I haven't got into Colorless. I think that would kind of round out our vehicle entree to a degree, is to kind of check out Colorless, because it always seemed very cool. Like, so let's read this sucker. This is a Boros commander for 2 mana. You get a 2/3. Mounts and vehicles you control have haste. Whenever a mount you control enters, it becomes saddled until end of turn. Whenever a vehicle you control enters, it becomes artifact creature until end of turn. Okay, we love that. So then you basically don't have to meet the crew costs, and they come in with haste. Probably shout out to Chandra here. Let's get out the Chandra too. She is very cool. So if we're going on this line, we can kind of take a look at her. And I actually don't think I've ever crafted her then. Oh, I think I'm in creatures right now. Hold on, guys. But still, I don't think I have gotten the 4 mana Chandra. There she is. There's the Spark Hunter. Let's put her down there. And check her out as well. Let's see, where did she go? Hold on. Sometimes my, oh, I think it's because I have it selected. Okay, let's try now. Did she go over there? There she is. So Chandra the Spark Hunter is also like a really interesting planeswalker for vehicles. Kind of just call it in, just kind of cue me in. This is also one that's going to basically not have a requisite for one of your vehicles to be having to be paid with power for the crew. It just would simply turn it into a creature as a passive ability, and it would also gain haste. So Chandra is also a really good payoff for vehicles in red. Really cool to mention that one as well. And just really interesting, does like kind of those really interesting synergies, like with discarding cards, like getting value. Red kind of does stuff with stuff in the graveyard to a degree, especially as you move into like your Goblin Welders and other kind of formats that like to see stuff into the graveyard. And then for the -7, yeah, it's pretty decent as well. So there is the Chandra as well. So very, very cool stuff there. So Colorless is also very nice. Like, you simply would be very, excited, for instance, for a one of our bigger colorless ones, like a Sky Sovereign to come in, where all of a sudden this thing just enters. Now it just enters and does 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, and then it's a 6/5, and it's just simply swinging and dealing another 3 damage. So that's really strong kind of payoff for our vehicles. So Kaladin is a very cool commander that loves to see things attacking, getting in for combat damage, and also having some nice enter the battlefield triggers, right? Basically, yeah, very, very cool. Very cool of the Kaladin, right? Now, I also, there's more. I mean, there's more interesting commanders. This one kind of caught my eye for a moment, too. It just kind of seems like an interesting one. Kind of like, what does this do? Like, is this like an Ornithopter or Paradise Lover? Like, it just seems like a very interesting commander to maybe attempt. And this is Lita, the mechanical engineer. This is a reskin from Avatar. This one is interesting because it says at the beginning of your end step, you'll untap each other artifact creature you control. So, like, for instance, if you do have, creatures that are artifacts that maybe perhaps produce mana or care about being untapped, for instance, like your Reckoner Bankbuster, I suppose. Like, for instance, if we want to get into like a Turbo Bankbuster, that might be pretty cool, right? Where you're just basically untapping, like, because this is at your end step. So, for instance, if we were able to make this a creature as we move to the end step, it would untap. It would be considered a creature. So I suppose like there would be ways to kind of turbo out a Bankbuster with this. And then it has that interesting tap ability for 3 generic and 1 planes to create a 5/5 colorless vehicle artifact named Zeppelin with flying and crew 3. So that's really interesting that it produces its own like Zeppelins. It's just like seems very interesting to me for the 3 mana too. Just like a very interesting like card, like where that weird effect of like, untapping each other artifact creature control. Like this kind of just gives me like your mirror kind of vibes, like your 3 mana mirrors. Let's see here. Like a Palladium mirror seems kind of interesting to like be able to like untap this at your end step and somehow figure out ways to like play instant speed stuff or pay into this ability to create more Zeppelins. Seems kind of interesting in general. So you see some of the mirrors, they definitely, produce mana to a degree, right? And you can probably find a lot of artifact creatures, and maybe artifacts, they have to be artifact creatures, right? Yeah, other artifact creatures. So that is an interesting one. I mean, these are just the top tip of the iceberg for your artifact creatures. There's a couple more that produce mana that might like that, and then you'd be creating Zeppelins, like a lot of them. It's kind of interesting card. So I thought that was a cool shout out to kind of like check it out. But I think we can kind of just maybe look at some of the artifact vehicles, like kind of get an idea of like what they're all about. I'd probably start with like the ones I'm familiar with and perhaps kind of like trim out some of the ones that were not. I mean, I do like the Colossus Plow. I'm not really familiar with this. This one's from Spider-Man. It just kind of searches up lands. This one's just okay as well. Heart of Kirin is probably like one of your baseline cards. Like it might be decent in a Balthier and Fran, but it doesn't do much other than just, have vigilance and attack, right? But it does look better in Balthier and Fran to a degree. This thing simply just has to be crewed, and you're going to get like the extra combat steps. So, putting these 2 mana vehicles is not too bad. It probably looks less good in like a Greasefang. Kind of looks kind of interesting for the Kaladin deck. I'm not going to lie, because it's going to have Vigi, and it's just going to get in, for 4. It's just going to slap in like real fast. This Kaladin is kind of sick too. It's like very aggro. So Heart of Kirin is kind of an interesting like kind of baseline card. It's like you could take it or leave it really. Hover Bike is kind of interesting, like maybe if you're getting really cooking with some like flash energies. But other than that, it's just going to tap down something. So, and 2 power is not really the greatest. Mobile Helmstead actually has a good look with Balthier and Fran because of the chance to get into an extra land. And it's like kind of a low costed vehicle. So this one is also kind of interesting, right? Where it attacks, you reveal. If it's a land card at the top of your library, you just put it onto the battlefield. Reckoner Bankbuster is definitely probably a slot in for all vehicle decks just because you get the card advantage, which is really nice over time, and then also produces a pilot and a treasure later on. So really cool, kind of slow build, but was banned in standard. Just a really nice card. Yeah, maybe like an exploration deck like really loves like this kind of stuff. Whenever a creature you control explores. Sky Sif, yeah. Smuggler's Copter is that kind of really nice, like, 3/3 kind of, will actually, it is a looting effect, right, where you draw first, then you discard. So that's an interesting one. Probably a very interesting card, mostly in general. Definitely has that low crew cost. It can kind of start enabling that exchanging, right, out of cards from your hand to your grave, and then you get to try to get some new fresh cards as well, or new fresh cards. So very interesting card, and I definitely think it's pretty good. Definitely has a say for like a Balthier and Fran type of deck, and perhaps even a Greasefang deck. Perhaps, yeah, I think it just definitely does the thing, right? Definitely gets your graveyard going, so it's definitely fine for Greasefang. Hearse is very good. This is like your like kind of card that brings parity. And what I mean by that is if you're up against a mirror match, like with a vehicle deck, if you have the hearse, you're going to win. I mean, you should win probably, unless the opponent is really savvy and they kind of hit the board a little harder than you. But other than that, you're probably going to, if you pilot with the right lines, an unlicensed hearse against another vehicle deck will probably get you the victory, simply because especially if you're up against Greasefang, because you're simply going to be removing their threats, basically at instant speed. So it's going to be very difficult for them to land anything from their Greasefang. It's kind of like render them neutered. So unlicensed hearse is really good in that way to kind of just control the grave and kind of scale up as the game goes on. Weatherlight completed. This card is kind of like, looks probably only good in like Yawgmoth decks, like if they're really like having lots of things die. I've seen them in Yawg before. I've seen the Weatherlight completed in Yawg, and it can start getting busy, like, it can start drawing cards and kind of be, interesting in that way. So probably looks very good in like your strictly sacrifice decks that wants to see lots of things die. Maybe it will be good in Sephiroth too, Weatherlight completed, but I'm telling you, it's more like when you have free sacrifice, like a free sacrifice outlet, like a Yawgmoth, where lots of things are dying. Weatherlight completed can look pretty good. Peace Walker Colossus is a really, really nice vehicle. It kind of like lets you not always have to have creatures like on the board to animate your vehicles. You simply can play one generic and one plains. For another vehicle to become an artifact creature till end of turn, so very strong card. Carriage of Dreams, this is a newer one for me. It's kind of interesting, yeah. Kind of interesting. I like the unblockability. This one almost looked good, but it's just land to hand for the Marshal's Path Cruiser. Adventurous Airship, this one will actually, I think, do some it's like a scuffed smuggler's copter. People are pretty high on the Aether Sphere Harvester. It's like a energy matters vehicle, and it just kind of has a big booty and kind of can gain life. So it's like kind of an interesting card. Aether Spear Harvester. It's just kind of interesting, right, guys? Kind of an interesting one, as you would say, huh? Kind of a high casting cost there. Brute Suit, yeah, just like kind of like, you're going to usually have inflated stats with vehicles, you notice too, like they're just a little stronger, than normal. It's just because of the requisite of having like tap down a creature. When this vehicle attacks, create a treasure token. Pretty decent. It's just the mana cost is a little high. You're just probably better off with like a homestead, even though the crew cost is just a little smaller. Cultivator's Caravan is probably like also one of those that seems like maybe it's just like, it's alright, but you have to see this as like one of those really interesting situations when you have like a mana rock that actually can get offensive or defensive, and then it's like, oh, that's really good. And the fact that you can just produce the mana, immediately is also very nice. So we do love the Cultivator's Caravan. The Dragster, these are always interesting ones, like the Kaladesh vehicles. I always considered this like it was this kind of, interesting. It seems kind of interesting for a Baltian friend, where it actually will kind of get you into some gasoline. So at the end of combat, if this vehicle attacked or blocked this combat, put a velocity counter on it. Then if it has 2 or more velocity counters on it, sacrifice it and draw 2 cards. So, it gets a little damage in, kind of gets you some cards, goes back to the graveyard. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? But it's like really not the greatest. Fell Flagship, pirates you control get 1/0. That's interesting. So it's just a passive like Lord for pirates. Whenever this vehicle deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card. It's pretty brutal. Kind of a higher crew cost for a 3-drop. But the passive effect seems interesting. Like, is this like a thing for pirates? Maybe not. When this vehicle dies, create a clue token. Okay. So reach crew 2 for 3. Interesting. Getaway car. Hey, so whenever this vehicle attacks or blocks, return up to 1 target creature that created this turn to its owner's hand. I guess like the self-bouncing thing is such like a big deal nowadays, So maybe this has a home for something somewhere, but I have not seen it really used to much effect yet. Lifecraft Engine. This one is like a goblin, like, the goblins worship the Lifecraft Engine. I think it gives like haste, doesn't it too? As if this vehicle enters, choose a creature type. Vehicle creatures control are the chosen creature type in addition to the other types. So it becomes a goblin. For instance, if you choose goblin, if it's a tribal, each creature you control of the chosen type other than the vehicle gets 1/1. So yeah, it's like kind of buffs up all your tribal creatures that you choose, and it itself becomes that as well, which is fun. That is cool. That is a cool option. We've seen it in some instances. Garrison has some sort of untap effect when it attacks. Otherwise, it's just kind of a 3/4 crew 2. Now, Carve is kind of that also interesting kind of like the mobile homestead effect, right? The body's not too bad, right? It's much better than the 3/3. Whenever this vehicle attacks, look at the top card of your library. It's a land card you may put into your battlefield tapped. Yeah, you probably co-op these with like your Baltian friends just to give you like the double chance, right? Because it's an attack, and you have multiple combats. Then it kind of just gets a little bit more interesting. Rover Blades. This is interesting. Like it's an equipment vehicle, so I did notice that as well. So equipped creature has double strike. Equipped for crew 2. And it has double strike itself. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting, all right. Scuttling Spider Coach, Trample. Whenever this vehicle attacks or blocks, it gets 1/1 till end of turn for each spider you control. Well, hello. Could get interesting with your spiders, guys. Scuttling Spider Coach, cool. Slick Schooner. Tangle Tumbler from Bloombarrow. Vigilance 3 and a tap. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Tap 2 untapped tokens. Okay. I see what you did there. I can get jiggy with that. It's a 6/6. Vigi. It's probably good. Is this card good? Tangle Tumbler. I wonder. Tap 2 untapped tokens you control. This vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. That's not too hard to do in standard. Is a 3-mana 6/6 good? I think it's good. I think that's good. Oh, are we going to do it, guys? Are we going to do a Tangle Tumbler deck? Oh, no. Might have to do a Tangler Tumbler deck. Okay. I think we could try to make that work. That seems really interesting. I don't know if it finds its way into any of these guys, like, for tokens, but it's interesting. An interesting constructed. Interesting. Very interesting. Bomat Bazaar Barrage. So these are the ones that draw cards. They're pretty good. 4 mana, 5/5, crew 3 draw. There's a few like this. There's a few. Conqueror's Galleon is like that really weird one where it probably only looks good in like Greasefang. These ones are probably just like alright, you know. These ones that draw. They're just like probably alright. This one is kind of interesting because it kind of enables like Greasefang very well, and it kind of gets turned on by Greasefang very easily. So you simply have this go to your grave with Greasefang, it pops out and it will attack because that's what Greasefang, you know, it provides that haste. And so then at the end of combat, if it lives, which it usually does because it's a 2/10, it becomes a land. So you ramp. That's good. That's good for Greasefang too. So the Galleon looks pretty good. And then it has these ability of like selectively draw a card, to discard a card, or draw a card, return a target card from a graveyard to your hand. So it does all these really interesting things that Greasefang would kind of like. So Conqueror's Galleon is pretty cool. Argosy is really interesting. It's probably better off in like an Atali deck. Like a very, very formidable enter the battlefield payoff where, you know, you're slamming your Atali, you already have your Argosy on the battlefield, you're crewing your Atali, and then you're swinging with Argosy, and then you're reblinking out Atali, and now it's back on the battlefield. So, yeah, Argosy is cool for that. Definitely a cool card. There's a Crusher here, a little bit, kind of like a little 6/6 there. A 6/1 Trampler for crew 1 there. Kind of interesting, actually. Yeah, kind of an interesting kind of Kaladesh card. Kind of a little banger there for sure. Trample Haste is kind of interesting, too. There's like your, you know, draw a card kind of, you know, payoff. This one has Toxic, too, so actually people might care about the Rib Skip a little bit more. This one is one of my favorites, is a Search Hacker Mech. And this one is really nice because it's going to see all the vehicles that you have on the battlefield and deal twice the number of damage to a target creature or planeswalker. So it's really nice removal for that colorless. Regalia is really awesome too. I mean, get in and let's get in my car, baby. Get in. Yeah, the Regalia. So this one is super sick. And that will just simply fetch up a land as it attacks. Or reveal cards from the top of your library into a reveal a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped. Beautiful. Thundering Chariot. First Strike Trample Haste Crew 1. Untethered Express. Trample. When this vehicle attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it. Very well. Weatherlight. That has to be one of my more favorite vehicles. We don't have access to see all the vehicles on Arena, but we do have some of the sweet ones. And Weatherlight is that really sweet one where this thing is going to do combat damage and you get to go 5 deep. And you may reveal a historic card for a moment and put it into your hand. Woo, baby. And it's a flyer. This thing can get really crazy. You know, you co-op this with one of your new like Thunderous Velocipedes, and it has a mana value 4 or more, so it becomes into the battlefield with 3 additional counters. So you're going to have like a 7/8 Weatherlight, and it's going to be slamming in and getting you more gas. So yeah, that's some nice selection there. You know, a historic card can be artifact, legendaries, and sagas. So out of the top 5, you get to pick one of those and put it into your hand. Very nice. Ballista Charger. Okay. Dust Legion Dreadnought, Vigilance Crew 2. Enchanted Carriage is also like kind of an interesting card. I'm not going to lie. I do like the fact that it creates tokens and more, you know, which are nice, like for bodies to help crew other vehicles. So that's always like a very underrated thing about, especially like with your Greasefang decks, is creating bodies that can help like crew, you know, pay for those crew costs. And they are just 1/1s, but they are still crewers. Like SK's Chariots gets much better because you're creating bodies that can help crew, you know. So SK's Chariot is probably a much better look than, you know, Enchanted Carriage. So the Luxurious Locomotive, I've seen this on a couple lists, so I could probably be a believer in this. seems that you will definitely create a treasure for how many things you accrue at once. So like this only has a crew cost of 1, so either I could just animate it for that crew 1, and when it swings, I'll create a single treasure because a creature did crew it, or I could like tap like 8 creatures down at once. You know, even though the crew cost is over 1, you can go over the crew cost, and then all of a sudden, when this attacks, you're going to create 8 treasures. So that's actually a really interesting one. And the thing about this is that treasure is not tapped. So yeah, that is an interesting card, isn't it? The Luxurious Locomotive. Maybe I should give this a chance in some of my lists and kind of just give it a shot. Maybe it's going to be fun. It might be really nice for like a Balthier Fran deck that's kind of loves to see more things attack and more treasure production. Yeah, maybe. Sky Sovereign, there's not much else to say. This is the OG. Like, look at this thing. For 5 mana, you're going to take something out. If you have one of those really nice enablers like Greasefang or Coldon, you're simply going to get value immediately because it has haste, right? And then you're going to deal 3 more damage to something and then 6 damage to someone's face. So that's really good. So Sky Sovereign is really good. And it could also be good in Balthier and Fran. You know, with additional combats, you're going to be doing that 6 damage to something or divided about 3 targets, so it's really good. Stomper could be fine in Greasefang, like a vanilla, like if you're playing like maybe a budget Greasefang, like, you know, like an artisan Greasefang. Like maybe you want to be cool with your pod and not punish them too bad on a day, but you still wanted to kind of hurt them a little bit. You could do that with like a Demolition Stomper. You know, it's still going to like really hurt a lot. But it won't like be as bad as like God, I haven't played Greasefang for so long, but there's some stupid vehicles that just absolutely just crush. And they make this one look like a little beeswax. It's like ridiculous. Thundersteel Colossus also. Those are like very vanilla-ish. You know, like you could definitely play in like a vanilla Greasefang. That sounds really fun. I'm getting some fun ideas, like the Tangle Tumbler and Vanilla Greasefang. So what we might do tonight is just like maybe... I mean, there's so many more cards to look through, and we can maybe perhaps do like a part 1 series. Or we could just do like a mega video, you know? I mean, we got through all the colorless ones. There's not too many more to like... There was quite a bit over here, but... There's quite a bit to tackle, actually. So maybe we just kind of call it for tonight on this one, and maybe kind of look at like a vanilla Greasefang deck. So that will be kind of fun. Yes, I'm going to save this. And I definitely am into the Greasefang vibes. Let's get rid of the Marchesa deck. You know what, they definitely they just updated the arena client, and it might be a little scuffed right now. I'll probably just cut. All right, we're back, guys. So this is the Greasefang. And this is Vanilla Greasefang. What's Vanilla Greasefang? Well, it's like our uncommons and commons. Our uncommon and common vehicles. Can we do it? Can we do like a artisan Greasefang? I think we could. So let's get it going here. And we kind of already discussed like all the generic ones that we kind of liked. I think it's kind of similar, you know, to kind of we discussed before. And you could probably do the Mech Titan core kind of stuff. You kind of like want to do like the higher, well, this is a rare as well. So let's try to do like the 7 cost. Let's get into the Greasefang kind of esque vibes. All right, guys. All right, everybody. So we got Vanilla Greasefang here. So this is going to be like an uncommon common deck. This would be like an artisan brawl deck. Maybe we haven't visited this too much, but we could probably get like a $20 deck here. I'm sure we could build Greasefang for like $20 on Arena. So what I got is I got the 4, 5, 6, and 7s here, and I got commons, uncommons. I'm going to type in vehicle now. See what we got cooking. And we're probably going to slot in most of these, I'm not going to lie. We'll definitely start the baseline here with Enchanted Carriage. This looks great already. We're having a good time. Definitely the Demolition Stomper. We're going to definitely be into something like that. Definitely into the Thundersteel Colossus as like our kind of our top end. Then we have like the Rib Skiffs of the world. So this is kind of the deck where maybe your pod is like, your deck is gross. Like, we don't really want to play against that anymore. We're having like a very frustrating time playing against your Greasefang deck. This might be the way. I mean, we definitely have some interesting like kind of enablers already just in like the generic mana sense. There's kind of some vanilla ones that are kind of not really doing too much here. Let's see if there's anything to craft in the uncommon or common slot for the colorless. Trample Haste 6-1. I thought this was interesting when we went over the kind of the list today. This one is really interesting because it's probably going to die, right? And has Trample and Haste, so it's a really interesting like kind of choice for Greasefang at the uncommon slot. This one's probably pretty decent too, how it kind of like scales up. It's going to die, you know, but it's going to be a 5/5 trampler, so it's probably not your worst uncommon to try. This one will actually ping, which is really nice. So we'll probably slot that one as well. And this is a flyer. Is there any other ones that are just any good for just mana value of colorless? This one's always interesting, right? Because we'll animate an artifact, so Guidelight Matrix is really nice. This one is kind of, I don't know if we want like a critical mass of vehicles. It depends like where the deck goes. Like if we have like some sort of artifact or vehicle synergy with amongst the uncommons, then maybe the mobile heads then it's not really Arena, come on man, you're really gonna make me unhit the craft button. Well, let's kind of look at here. Yeah, the Daredevil Dragster is kind of interesting, but you're not really gonna have like 2 velocity counters with Greasefang because you have to attack in twice, right? The Tangled Tumbler I'm so intrigued by. It's like kind of like my new #1 card. I just feel it's like so interesting. It's really interesting that it requires like tokens to like be animated too. That's what's really interesting about it too. Got in the Ballista Charger, got in the Rib Skiff. Ooh, Mech Hanger, we just love that. Well, that one let me go in there nicely, didn't it? Like I said, if we're doing things like, okay, I see what you're doing there, Arena. Daredevil Dragster, Sky Skiff. Okay, that's fine. So here's the Mobile Homestead. Still does not let me like drag it down. And where's the Carve? If there is like a synergy with artifacts, these lower lining ones might be alright. Same thing with a careening minecart. If there's something to do with like, you know, creating artifacts or like treasure tokens, then maybe. Also, like we might just want to keep our options open with the Tangle Tumbler here. How about the Fire Nation Warship? I don't know yet. Okay, so that's just from our colorless. Now we can kind of take out, is there any multicolored ones? The Dune Drifter? Okay, you have to pay into X for that. Yeah, that one just seems like pretty decent value. So we'll put our value over here. And now we'll check out black. Oh my god, we get the Reckoners raid. This is crazy, guys. Absolutely crazy. Okiba's Reckoners raid is completely busted. It'll give all our vehicles menace, so that's really nice. What's this do? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Draw a card from a removal spell. Love to see it. Deathless Pilot. Okay. It's like a pilot. Yeah, it is a pilot. In fact, it is. We love crewers. There's probably better options. Momentum Breaker. Okay. Oh, this is a vehicle. That's a really good, actually, sack outlet for Greasefang. It's perfect. So you really love these effects for Greasefang, like the ability to like sacrifice things freely. For 1 mana, that kind of sucks, but it still like does the trick. Okay. Tundra Tank. That's firebending. How fun is that? Yeah, we'll put in the Tundra Tank. It's cool. Put the... Let's do it like this. I don't think I need these lands right now. So these are like kind of we don't know yet, but these are like cards we're pretty happy about. Have to control an army for that. Let's look at the craft ones first, just to see if there's any vehicles we're missing out. Kind of an interesting one. I think I do like the cruiser. We're definitely going to be building a graveyard, so... Will you go down? Will you go over here? Will you go down there? No. Okay, Phantom Train. Sacrifice another artifact or creature? Oh, yeah. That card's so sick. Okay, we'll come back to that one. Okay, so there was nothing else to craft for black. So we're good. Let's go get in this carry-on cruiser. Put it over here, kind of next to like the in-betweeners. I would say that this is definitely not an in-betweener. Like I said, just having the ability to sacrifice freely is really good to get our bigger creatures back into the graveyard. It's just nice for us. So that just simply goes back in. So into the big pile here. The nice pile. Discarding a card. Not too interested about that. Kind of an interesting land, the Foul Roads. I'm kind of a fan. I know like these lands kind of seem interesting, but they're like kind of worth their weight in gold, because you have to imagine if you lose your board, this has the option of like creating that thing at like, well, it says only as a sorcery, so it's not as good, but there's just, this could be valuable in certain circumstances. Like maybe it does suck that it is as a sorcery, but sometimes you just don't have a board, and this might help you get there. You know, it might put a creature to the board at sorcery speed, and then you might be able to crew it in response. You know, and then swinging for lethal. So Foul Roads seems really nice. Mech Hanger is just also like worth its weight in gold. Simply like if you don't have any creatures to crew your vehicles with, you have like a Mech Hanger to help you kind of get there. So that's some nice synergy as well. So let's see if there's any white vehicles. There's also just enablers, as you would say, like a hot shot mechanic is also really nice. So those are just like really good keeps, because this will just simply crew your vehicles if power was 2 or greater. So basically it has power 4 for vehicles, which is a really strong one drop. I mean, alchemy is obviously very strong, right? And this is cool. It like generates a dragonfly suit to your hand, which is cool. Light the Way. Okay. Light Wheel enchantments. Ooh, we like flying. That seems fun. Flying vehicles are cool. What do you do? Colossal Plow is really interesting. I don't know if we went over this the first time around. I might have went under the radar. Might have skipped it. But this one's a really interesting 2 generic vehicle where it will swing and produce 3 mana and gain us 3 life. Until on turn you don't lose this mana as steps in the phases end. The only problem is crew is 6, but what a bomb. It's like accelerates you so much. It gets you a little mana. It's really crazy. Oh, there's a giant ox, so that's really nice. Oh my god, this is so fun. I have to do this more often. It's like just totally artisan, So interesting. It's gonna be like a $8 deck. This creature saddles mounts and crews vehicles and using its toughness rather than its power. Dude, that thing crews things like a champion. It's pretty sick. Yeah, I don't really know if maybe if you had extra combats, but I don't know the purpose of untapping it. First strike is good, though. When this vehicle enters Scry 2, Crew 1. Okay. This will create a vehicle as well. I don't know for Greasefang, but it is interesting, like, for what we were trying to think about, the Tingle Tumblers and stuff. Born to Drive is awesome at instant speed, right? Isn't this at flash? Yeah, it has a channel. So discard this card, create 2/1/1 colorless pilot creature tokens. Yeah, that's really nice. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets 1/1 for each creature and or vehicle you control. Nice. Bound in Gold. Cloudspire Captain. Mounts and vehicles you control get 1/1. Okay, no, we love that. Oh, it's a pilot. Oh, that's cool. I think we love that. There's the suit for 3 mana. You get a 3/2 crew 1. We're definitely going with a recovery unit. This will get into our graveyard and return things from a graveyard to our hand. That's fantastic. When this creature enters, target creature or vehicle gains lifelink and indestructible until end of turn. Roadside Assistance. How about Magitech Armor? When this vehicle enters, create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token. So it creates a body. Kind of love crewers, don't we? Kind of on the fence with that one. Oh, that's pretty sweet. It could be good for like our really big ones. We'll try a tune-up. Once again, just like another artifact that creates a body. Little kind of more of an interesting one. Kind of similar route, just 1 more power and perhaps 1 more to cast, but you get a 1/1 flyer. Oh yeah, baby. Dude, Detention Chariot is so hype because this one is like going to enable Greasefang itself. It cycles itself. Like you can do that on turn 2, and then you're gonna have a 6/6 in your graveyard, and then you can just start exiling tokens and stuff on your opponent's battlefield, and just like freely swing with a 6/6. It can hit artifacts too. Oh my god, it's so good. It's like the best. It's like it's like in its own space. Detention Chariot, crazy. This land enters tapped unless you control a mount or vehicle. Yeah, this is kind of similar, like our sweet lands, man. New Greasefang tech alert. So is that all we got? Is that all we got, guys? All our vehicles. Did I miss any along the way? It's probably not terrible for your artisan decks to Ripclaw. I don't know, though. This one gets a little bit better for us. The Adventurer's Airship. Kind of like is like a scuffed smuggler's copter. Any flyers maybe I missed out on? This is a 4/4 flyer. That's about it. Ooh. Vehicles you control become artifact creatures until end of turn. Choose a dwarf you control. That's fine. That just is right on the nice. It just we don't have to crew for the turn. Sure. Gearsha face. Okay. I mean, first strike is like whatever for us, really. Might be good in some circumstances, though. Is it? Maybe. We'll come back. What we're gonna need is like things that discard freely. Okay. Perfect. So yes, these are the key cards. So Fleeting Spirit, Seasoned Hollowblade, doesn't this just enable itself though? Really, you want these cards that will continually discard, because what will usually happen is that your vehicle will attack in, and then it will pop back to your hand. So if you have a free discard out, like you can discard that card before your next combat step on your next turn. So you can kind of repeat that process. So Fleeting Spirit and Seasoned Hollowblade do that very well. Bone Shards is good too, just to sacrifice and remove something. Sacrifice is also a good keyword to look up for Greasefang. So I'm already going to tell you what's going to happen with this deck. We're probably going to get like a layup the first game, and then we're going to be like in hell queue, because this card is like, it's like way up here in the stratosphere. Like, it's just, its power level is like kind of unmatched. It's just so strong. Bandit's Talent. Crazy uncommon card. Bitter Triumph. Oof, that's a big pickup for us, guys. Yeah, it's just similar to Bone Shards. Just freely discard something, will remove something as well. Also, the Cabal Initiate will also freely discard, so we just love that. Dude, that's pretty sick. This will actually, it's an enchantment? That's kind of tight. But you can do it during your opponent's turns. No way. That's so sick, bro. Call the Bloodline. Gas. This creature enters tapped. Blah, 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 blah. Kind of like what we want. Miasmic Mummy. Doesn't give you direct repeatable value, unfortunately, but does hit your opponents. Kind of makes them upset. There's that again. Olivia's Dragoon. We might need that. Sorry about that. Most of these are just like hand take cards, basically, like reveal, discard. Most of them, it seems. Huh, that's a really interesting card. Dark Deal. Each player discards all the cards in their hand and draws that many cards at -1. I think that's kind of right what we need for Greasefang, actually. I'm always mystified by like the doing like the artisan stuff because I see all these really interesting cards. It's kind of an interesting one. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, you may pay 1. If you do, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Seems really nice, actually. Give it a shot. That's each too. I think I'm in love. Guys, if you're settling in on us, thanks for joining me. Consider liking the video and subscribing if you're new. And you'll be rewarded, I guarantee it. You'll see. I think I love the Playcrafter too. Just as like a one-of, just to like kind of get in there. Like sacrifice one of our vehicles and have them sacrifice some other things. Mm-hmm. Kind of like the Hell Mongrel. The Madness seems pretty doable. How often we discard. Maybe not the most reliable. There's the Wrangler again. Yeah, I think we want more vehicles, so we'll slap it in. Just like keeping this going, because this seems really interesting. The Faith of Devoted. See if there's anything else going on. Super interesting card, huh? Okay, so that was discard. Let's look up sacrifice. And I think I'm in a little bit of an interesting one there. And if I see anything interesting, I'll let you know. It's kind of interesting to protect Greasefang to a degree with like these kind of interesting like little 1-drops. They're kind of nice to crew with as well. Kind of like act as like your Mother Runes. We might have a Mother Runes actually at uncommon slot, which would be a really nice artisan pickup. There she is. Kind of an expensive one, but I think that's really nice. Alcei does this as well, pretty well. You have to pay 1 to protect, so maybe Zach fares a little better. Does Zach also have to pay? Yeah, Zach is also a pay, where it's just, this is just sacrifice, save, you know. Super good. Good puppo. Oops. Ooh. Yeah, we love these. Like, basically, sacrifice. Corrupted Conviction is nice. And Village Rites is really good. Also, the Curse Marauder is really nice. Bloody Deadly Dispute. Fantastic, guys. Kind of like Edict as like a removal spell. Oh, we get a Zealot too. That's really nice. So that one actually will just sacrifice. You don't have to discard. You just sacrifice from your board and you surveil. So it can continuously build your graveyard. This one kind of nutty. Damn. It's like a removal spell. I don't know if we need a Demon's Disciple, though. I have enough ways to get our stuff back into the graveyard. I think we're pretty good. I'd like some draw. Sacrifice draw. Victimize is kind of interesting for really heavy creature board graveyard decks. Bartolome. We could do like some aristocrat stuff. Rite of Oblivion, fantastic. Hey bye. Dude, I think Hey Bye just like slams too. It's such a slammer. This thing just hits all sorts of permanents. I think we're kind of coming up on it, guys. I think we kind of did the thing. Don't really think there's too much else to kind of consider at 60 playables-ish. Do a little rampies with a bauble. Little rampies with a mana stone. Flesh Raker. Cards and nuts. I think it's raining in Vegas, guys. Can you believe it? What do we get for draw with the little aristocratics? Reprieve? That seems pretty good for us. The chef. I kind of like the chef too. Kind of expensive to do the sacrifice though. Fell Stinger's pretty sick. Yeah, I think maybe Fell Stinger. This card's got to be good for us, right? In EDH. The Morbid Opportunist. I think so, because this will probably just be like an EDH deck anyways. Like, it's very artisanal. we want a stinger? I don't know. I think we want to start building our graveyard. For greasy. For the greasy. Just a slight little push. Just a little push. A supplier and a butler, right? Should be fine. Got enough like discard things. Is there any like return spells that are good? Maybe unearth. Ooh, helping hand is cool for sure. Very nice one. Target creature card. Yeah, that might hit us some good times. Be better if it was permanence, but we'll take it. Could also return a Greasefang if it gets removed, which is nice. Recommission also will hit vehicles. So we love that. Malika Rebirth, nice. Unearth, we'll take an unearth. I don't think I really want too much more. I don't think there really is too much more after that in these formats. For uncommons and commons. Zombify. Cool. Alright, let's see what we get for some manas. Kabir Takedown, Shivari Shelter. Kind of interesting little pickups there. It's kind of interesting, yeah. Fear of Abduction? Witch Enchanter? That's gas. Okay, it's not going to be a $20 deck anymore. It's going to be a couple dollars. So far, like, the Village Rites are, like, my favorite kind of effects. To go with, like, co-op with, like, a Mana Rock, like Arcane Signet, because they're just so, like, readily available. Fell to Profane is gas. Must have Hacker Mauling, too. I must have missed it. Is Hacker Mauling a rare? It must be. Bajuka Bog? There's our Siggy and our Cold Steel Heart. And the Guardian Idol. And we'll get an Ornithopter. And a Solar Transformer. I think we're going to be pretty happy with that. Yeah, Command Tower is good for Orzhov. Reliquary, maybe. Alright, so guys, I think we pretty much did it. Let's just add some lands here, see what we got cooking for the uncommons, commons. Not probably the best, really. I mean, this is just tapped or like a buff. So it's probably not the worst. Let's see if there's any ones that like, there are some that if you have a certain amount of life or criteria, it's going to become an angel. For Artisan though, they kind of open up the rares a little bit, you know, for the fetch lands. Not the fetch lands, but like just because they're so cheap in general, but maybe not, I suppose. But it does really hurt your deck to like have all these tapped lands here. So that kind of seems like kind of an injustice. But we can like stay under $1. Like all these the lands are just so cheap now. Like I guarantee you, like these pathways, these caves here, the concealed courtyards are all like 25-cent, you know, cards. They're like really, they're really no problem. Like even this like cool Restless Fortress probably is like less than $1. These snarls are like dirt cheap. These ones are a little more expensive, like the ones that can draw. Like those are a little more pricey, and the surveil lands are more expensive too. But like the temples and stuff, those aren't that bad. Even like the Shattered Sanctums, maybe not so bad either. So we can splurge a little bit, I think, on these two. They're like going to be like $3 or $4 lands. Like they're not going to be too bad. And perhaps we pick up like maybe a little snow synergy for the LOLs. No, but snow lands are expensive too. So let's see if there's any more like add lands that maybe we missed that are maybe multicolored. Yeah, we'll pick up a Glasswing Grace as like in this anything that'll add black or white, right? That might have an upside. Verge lands would be too expensive. We'll get a man land as well. In this 13 life or less one. And I think this one's pretty interesting. It has can draw as well. Cool. Yeah. And I just need swamp. Where's my swamp? Oh, I have to be selected for swamp. I don't need snow swamp. I just need regular ones. Okay, so let's see where we landed here. Let's hit done. Oh, I will craft them. Vanilla Greasefang, also known as artisanal Greasefang. So I think what we get 30 lands or so here. It says 24 plus 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So definitely got to trim up a little bit. So it's probably like the Tangle Tumbler. We don't have too many tokens. These ones are okay. This one's okay, I guess. That one's cool. Hay Bay's cool. I like Tune Up. Yeah, that will mill us. Sacrifice. Yes. Morbid Opportunist. Yeah, take it or leave it. Yeah. Plow. Yeah. This card seems really cool. Reprieve. Love it. Lots of 2-drops. These might not be as good, like the return target creature cards. because we don't have so many creatures. We have a few, but like not a lot. But they're good for Greasefang to get Greasefang back, so I guess that's why you keep those in. There was like a couple like of whatever cards. I think it was like mostly like the ones, the 3-drops that maybe create treasures, like the Cranium Minecart. Like the for art, for like vehicles' sake, like these ones are just, they're all right. This one I can actually build our graveyard though, which is interesting. I still don't think it's good enough though. It just isn't. Some utility with that. Give your cards here. This one can scale up. Kind of like probably our worst look though. I don't want to touch this too much over here any longer. And I think we have to do like 3 more cuts. It seems really interesting, the dark deal. Alright, back to here. Let's see how many lands we got up to. 29 plus about 5. 30, 31, 32. 33. 34. 30. 31. 34. I think we want to get to 38 for Greasy. This one's probably like the, like whatever. It does crew. I think we have enough crewers though. It is somewhat interesting, but yeah, it's somewhat interesting, I'd say. Yeah, they're just all very interesting. I think I only need like the one of these though. I just need like one of them. The interface ace really crews like pretty much everything. It's like up to 8 power. Like at least 2 triggers, like 2 crewings. That's a crazy card. It's much better than the Ox, right? Oh, but it can't like crew things over 6, right? Giant Ox gets everything, so let's keep in the Ox. Yeah. Let's skip out on the Ox. We got the Greasefang. It's going to crew most of the stuff, really. Okay, let's let this one rip, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today. This is so exciting. Vanilla Greasefang. I can't believe it. I like the evolution of the channel. It's definitely getting interesting. Kind of always like been sympathetic to like the budget decks, but this one is like really under the radar. Codis is no joke, man. Codis is something. And they have a Codis avatar? Jesus Christ. Okay, we'll keep it. Might actually be able to hit like one of their dorks with the bone shards. Okay, untap land is kind of the thing. We get to like slam in one of these really nasty things, so I think we're gonna have to cycle this. Or discard one of these things. We'll cycle. Kind of hate to miss land, though. Opponent is doing the thing. Hate to see it, guys. Mana value 3 or less. One of our bigger ones in there. Counter spell. Dang, now they have a Codas. And a dark ritual. We can go up a land. I don't want to be like mana screwed like that. They just have a free block here. It doesn't have trample or anything. So Oppo gets to get into my hand, or get into my library now with the Codas, and probably remove my Greasefang, because it's solid, really solid deck. Can fight a little bit. I don't want to. Okay, that's 4 looks. And that's a lot of hits. Witch Enchanter. Yeah, it's pretty good. Oh, they're not stopping, guys. They're just out of control over there. Oh, leave my stuff alone. Oh, Thoughtseize. You can hit my things, man. Ain't no problem with that. Recall mission. This has trample. It's crazy, huh? And indestructible. No vehicles. What a disaster. Okay. Did not like the land situation there, guys. And we definitely want to like continue to get into our graveyard, so if it doesn't serve us, like if it's not getting into our graveyard in some instance, then we're probably not too excited about it. I don't know how often we're going to be using Reprieve. It's kind of like a weird one for us, but it might be game winning. We do have some exile and sacrifice, so we're pretty excited. How many lands would this put us at? Where were we at? I thought we were at like 38. We had 34 plus 4. Now we have 38. We were at 36 before. Alright. Definitely not cutting in artifacts. Definitely not cutting cards that help us put cards into the graveyard. So that leaves like just kind of other creatures and maybe crew things. I think a hot shot is alright, but I think we're going to get along without it. This one too. Alright guys, so this is Vanilla Greasefang. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's only gonna like cost like $25, maybe. But literally you could like go artisanal to like super budget with and be very happy with like Weatherlights and stuff. It'll like be like $5 to like get out of artisanal. And I'll put like a star next to it because it is like, you know, we do have some fancy dancy lands, but not really. Artisanal with a star. Look at this. Detention chair, it's absolutely goated. See how busted this is? Because I just get the detention chariot, and now I get to like move in on their iron crag. And it's just dead. Oh, just till it leaves the battlefield, so it just pops back. Still so sick. And this cycles, so I get a card off of it each time. Try to get an untapped land or something. Or land in general. Let's go like this. What? That one. I guess still am fine. Got kind of confused with my Ornithopter there. I thought I was playing the Cabal, but the Junker. Yeah, that's good. I think that's like very cheap, so you can get into that, you know, very easily. Yeah, we'll take a land. They're nearly dead. It's pretty good. That's like a lot of surveilling and drawing. Ooh. It's nice. 10-10. Do I have any way to deal with that? Not really. I can just blink it out, though. Man, they are popping off, huh? Sure. That actually was good for them to get a draw for that, too. That 10-10 is super annoying for me. I need like one of my exile spells or something to get rid of it. Could just die to it if they have the way to. I have to block, I think, too, if they swing in with it. Oof. Taking a little damage, opponent. That's a little crazy. I might just take this hit if they swing in at me. Ooh. What are you doing over there? I have that line if they Cabal Initiate goes and I can just resurrect it with a Dune Drifter. Looks like they're pretty comfy to swing right here with their Colossus. Okay. It's pretty good. Still at 7. Because of the artifacts they have, right? There's a corrupted conviction. This has a crew 3 as well. What do I need to do here? I can animate this. Oh. Not bad. I don't think I die, but we'll see. They have like maybe a lot of creatures to deploy. Okay. Oh, this is a 3/3. I love that. Okay. Kind of a weird choice for their deck, but okay. Now, we might have like a really interesting lethal with like a Dreadmobile. 1, 2. The menace is really interesting. How much could I pump this thing up to? I could get at least to 7 power, and it's like 7. I can co-op that. Still a problem though, Colossus. Could I sacrifice 7 things? Probably not. That's a 7/7. That's just mental error. Because I hit in, so I had to reduce their life total. I see what happened there. That's hurting. Damn. I think I'm just going to get hit by an artifact too, right? Is it any permanent they return? Oh, so their Death Shadow gets me here, huh? Nice. Oh no, it's only 1 mana, okay. Good flyers are going in. Either way, I'm screwed. Oh yeah, let's go to end. That's just 1 mana though. Oh, it is 13. So now. Okay. Well, that was the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed this. This is like an artisanal take, so kind of in the rough streets. I mean, you're gonna kind of be struggling a little bit here, so we're gonna have to, like, you know, kind of consider that as we go. But this was really fun, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys all next time, and I'll post a list on the Mox field. Bye bye.